Good morning, team. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night to each and everyone who is watching this video. In today's session, I want to discuss a few things in line with the steps that each and every professional needs to go through while coming up with a software project. In that sense, I'm referring to what we call the system development life cycle. Allow me to pause. Okay, now at least in our few probably lectures, we have managed to go through what a system is and so on. So on that point, I won't probably focus much onto this because we have already discussed the characteristics of softwares you can go through, and then today's software environment, which is full of areas, productivity gaps, backlogs, maintenance bound, and so on. So basically, those ones you can go through, and then yeah. Now, these are some of the principles, guidelines that should do probably guide you when you are coming up with software projects. It is mandatory that if you want your system to be successful, you have to involve the what? The users, because they know what they want and they know what they would love to work with. So it is always good that you involve them. Then you also need to use a problem-solving approach, establish phases and activities, because it helps you to handle small tasks that can be easily managed. Then establish standards for development and documentation. There has to be a standard that you follow, you get. Yeah, whereby now if maybe in the system or in the project you're trying to come up with, you have quite a number of forms. Now, to avoid maybe spammers and so on, you can say, let me use captcha, and then, whereby in all the forms you have, to avoid having spams, then you go including captchas each and everywhere of your forms. So it helps a lot. Like you need to have standards, and documentation helps a lot. Then justify system as capital investment. Don't be afraid to cancel or revise scope. Yeah, always. That is why, like, I would recommend methodologies that can adopt or that can allow, changes at any moment, like the agile you get compared to the waterfall model. Then use the divide and conquer, like I told you. We have what we call the work breakdown structure, whereby we come up with a small tasks or micro tasks actually that can help you to handle work easily. Design system for growth and change, because you know this very well. Yeah, today you may come up with it the way how you see. Let me give you a very good example of Microsoft. Yeah, from which Windows did they start from, and then where are they at the moment? So it is always good that you do what? You focus on that. Yeah. Then we have proper planning, and then project what? A project management. So we have key terms that we need to look at here. And when we talk about a systems development life cycle, in this sense, it is these are stages you get that each and every system or project must go through. That is now the life of a project. The way how we see, actually even human life is a project, because it has the birth date and death date, meaning that a we are in life development life cycle. Okay. Human development life cycle. But now for us, we are going to focus much on software projects development life cycle. You get. Yeah, whereby the life of the project is what we need to concentrate on. And when we talk about methodology, it's a comprehensive and detailed version of an entire system development life cycle. We have very many, so we shall use different techniques, we shall use different modeling tools, as well as project management tools, which can help you to manage, schedule, because you remember very well I told you, we have like now when it comes to like maybe time management, we have tools like Gantt charts, we have the part charts, and so on. When it comes to communication tools, we have things like we can use Teams. When it comes to software, project management tools themselves, we have things like Azure. You know, there are quite many. So we shall focus on such. Some tools, project management applications, drawing, you will read that. Then tools is when we talk about creation of guidelines that help to analyze, complete system development activity, step-by-step instructions, general advice, and so on. You will go through these ones at least. Yeah. Now, let's now try to discuss. Let's try to look at what we call the software development life cycle. These are major activities. Major activities. There are always three that I want you to focus much on. I'm not saying that a systems development life cycle has three stages. No, but I'm now talking about the three activities that you need to concentrate much on. One of them is analysis. This is when you have to sit with the stakeholders and understand the business needs. If like you're working on a school management system, yes, you need to understand who are the users, what do they want to use the system, because even the users themselves are different, because you have maybe students, you have teachers, you have maybe directors, so each person has a different need from this what system. So if you analyze, then another activity which is very, very important is the design. Yeah, where you have to conceptualize the computer system solution, come up with the different designs, talk of the UIs, yeah, based on the based on the users as well as their needs. Then talk about the logical designs, talk about the physical designs, and so on. Then implementation, where now you are going to convert your design into real functionality. You get the design, then you convert it into real function. Yeah, the construction, testing, and installation. Yeah, after now you have converted your design into real system function, but you needed to test and prove whether your system achieves the needs that were specified by the users. You get. Yeah, so you do that through testing. Yeah, you can do unit testing, you can do systems testing, and so on. Then you can go on to what to install. Then we also have what we call other additional phases, where we can talk about project planning. Then we can also talk about support, as we are going to see. Yeah. Now in planning, now these are the generic stages of a software development life cycle. You get. Yeah, planning is number one. Don't ever start a project when you have not planned. Planning is number one step that you need to perform whenever you are handling any software project. So when we talk about planning, now this is when you identify a project and then make what we call a selection. For me, when I'm managing projects, I use what we call the scope technique. Let me here. I'm talking about scope. Yeah. Now, this is a technique that has worked for me very well. And very good. Now, I'm talking about project identification and selection. For me, when I'm managing any project, what I need to do, number one, is to stop. That is, now I'm explaining the technique for the scope. What I do is to stop. When I stop, I'm able to understand the different requirements of a system. Now, you remember those who normally listen to President when he's addressing the nation. Yeah, President Museveni previously during COVID time, he used to say that for them as the veterans, for them during the war times, whereby for them to easily identify where the enemy was coming from was to stop and listen from the ground. Then from there, they would probably understand which direction this enemy is coming from. So in the same sense, the moment you stop, it stops you, or it allows you to avoid making mistakes, rushes, losses, and so on. And it helps you to understand more what needs to be done. Yeah, so I always stop, and then in stopping, I'm able to inquire, get to know who is involved, who is the stakeholder, which needs are they, interested in this kind of system. Then we have what we call project initiation and planning. Yeah, it is from this that you can. Then point number two on the scope technique is to clarify. When I stop, I'm going to have quite a number of, like items to look at. Who is involved. Now I'm talking about the stakeholders. Then I will also get to know, what we call, uh, which requirements are needed. So I clarify, then which one can I take. Then number three, which is O, is to look for options available. Yeah, because I may need to achieve a certain function, but in achieving so there are quite a number of, like maybe alternatives that are in, or techniques or technologies that I have to use, you get. Now, if I'm going to come up with maybe mobile app, you get. Should I go with the Flutter? Should I go with the Android? I mean, I need it to be sure and come up with, I choose from the options available. It's the same way, like if you want to go to probably maybe interview from Kampala, that means you may decide to use maybe motorcycle. You can use maybe also maybe a car. You can use maybe a bike. Some people may prefer even just run, and sometimes people may prefer also to use different routes. There are some who may prefer to use Entebbe Express Highway. There are some who may need to use maybe, Entebbe Road. So you choose from the available options. Then the key is to proceed. Yeah, after I stopped, I clarified, I have chosen which option to take, then I'm able to go to proceed. Yeah, I'm able to proceed, meaning I'll be taking the right route, because now if I prefer to use maybe Entebbe Express Highway, I'm able to know that there won't be any jam or obstacle on the way. And then probably, but also you ensure that maybe the car is full of, maybe you have enough fuel to use because there is no petrol station around when you're using that route. Then also maybe you need to know that the car does not have any mechanical condition because it is risky to stop on such a way, such things. Then after proceeding, then after I've gone, then I would need to evaluate. Evaluate is the last process on the scope technique where I have to now assess myself and see, have I achieved what I intended to achieve? You get. So basically that is the scope. Then number two is analysis. Now in analysis, this is when we determine system requirements, see what users need, you analyze, then model possible solutions, how to satisfy user needs. You get, yeah, what should I use? Because now if like maybe the guys have been complaining about the slow in the system, that means now I need to use a technology that is a little bit fast when it comes to loading resources of the what of the system. Then number three, stage number three in the system development life cycle is design, where I've already talked about, where you have to come up with the logical designs, then come up with the, physical designs. Yeah. Now, logical designs, this is when you come up with the maybe things like data flow diagrams, context diagrams, whereby you need to clarify, you specify the flow of information, how it's going to move from which person to which, from and when, what do you need to access which information, and so on. Then that those databases comes in, and then you can go to physical design. Then in implementation is when you now convert your design into the real code. Yeah, whereby programming comes in, and then you're converting the requirements into real action. Then lastly, you have to keep maintaining, yeah, or you give support, because I told you in software, maintenance is the longest stage that you need to be aware of. Yeah, whereby time will come, like I was telling you about the example for Microsoft, whereby you have seen they have been improving from time to time, even WhatsApp itself. Yeah, from the time WhatsApp came, we never had an option for probably maybe videos, to over, there are quite a number of features that they have added. Yeah, previously we could only exchange text, then later they improved and they added in audio, then later video came in, a lot of stuff has changed. So maintenance is quite a long process, a long stage that almost takes the entire life of the project. Yeah. So yeah. All projects use some variations of system development life cycle, some other phases, principles of management, planning and control, organization and distributing, problem solving. We have read about this. And now major attributes of the life cycle, where we have to talk about the project moves systematically through phases, where each phase has a standard set of output to get and produces projected deliverables, use deliverables in implementation. Deliverables achieve the work items. When you say I'm going to work on authentication, and then you work on it and accomplish it. So that is a deliverable. Then is gradual refinement. Project phases have already explained this, whereby planning, why is the system being built, how should the team go about building it, meaning you're going to get, you plan who's going to be responsible for what, when should we do this, what should come first and what should come next, things of that kind. That is during what? The planning phase. Then analysis, who uses the system, what will it do to get, if these are kindergarten kids, meaning that our system must have features, or the landing page or the home page should be that attractive, using maybe cartoons and so on, whereby once they go there, they're able to what? To enjoy and fall in love with the system. Then where and when will the system be used? All those are very important attributes that we need to look into when carrying out the analysis. Then design, how will the system work? How will the system work? Okay, design, how will the system work? It's when you come up with data flow diagrams, the context diagrams. Yeah, who should access what and when should, who should do interact with who Yeah, that is why you need to specify this through the design phase. Then implementation is when you start on the real conversion of your design into code. Identify business value, analyze feasibility, yeah, during planning. Now here we are looking at the broad aspect of this first phase planning. Identify business value. Why do they need the system? You get. Yeah, then analyze the feasibility. Feasibility is when we look at the different, is something workable, is something realistic. Feasibility is something feasible, whereby we need to know, okay, do we have the manpower to achieve what the users have specified as the requirements, as the needs? If they say we want a system whereby the system should be able to detect our voices. We don't want to come and log in by typing in username and probably maybe password. I want a system whereby when I come, I just say, hello, I'm John, and then probably it gives me access. So you need to analyze the feasibility and get to know, do you have the technology? Do you have, okay, the software wise, you may be able to achieve it, but then do you have maybe the hardware that may be able to detect, maybe people's voices and then be able to match it with the ones that have been, captured and saved in the system. Then develop work plan. Working plan is when you get to the drawing board and get to know, when should I do this and how long can it take us? You get. Yeah, we have very good tools that we can use for this. Like Microsoft, it has a popular one called Microsoft Azure. You get, it has boards whereby now a board may have the to-do list. Yeah, you include what are you going to work on. Then it has the done, it has the review, and then it also has the doing. You get. So it helps you to follow each and everything very well. So that is developing work plan. You get to know, what should I do first, who should do this, start the project here. Now you assign tasks to individuals, then control and direct the project, because once you don't control, then it may end up losing focus and going out of scope. Then implementation, construction, whereby you start building the program itself, testing, carry out the installation, strategy, plan, support. Now, support phases objectives to keep the system running productive following the initial installation. Yeah, whereby you have to keep supporting the end users. Yeah, sometimes the companies use what we call the help desks. Yeah, help desk is like a customer care, whereby in case these people need some clarification, some training, or some troubleshooting, like there is always that team responsible for giving support. Yeah, like a customer care, help desks you get. Or you can also come up with the training programs, maintaining and enhancing computer system, whereby enhancements are carried out, upgrades are carried out, maintenance, and so on. All those ones happen in support phase. Then we have different methodologies. Now, different methodologies, when we talk about a methodology, is an approach you get, yeah, that you can use to come up with a final product. For example, I will give you a very clear, easy one. When you are constructing a house using bricks, you start from down. You get, then you add one 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 brick onto the other, like that, you get one on top of the other. But now those people who use who use what, how can I, you know, those, how can I term them? In our local language, they are called uh, uh, nyumba zettaka, whereby for them they don't use bricks, but instead they use like just normal soil to come up with what, a house, whereby now this soil is mixed in water and then later they come up with a building structure. No, but for them, when they are trying to design, they start from up when they are laying the structures where the soil is going to be placed. However, ceremony, they start from up coming down. Yet in bricklaying, and I mean in brick format or methodology, you need to start from down. So now they are different, but at the end of the day, they are all intending to come up with the structures or buildings you get, only that they use a different what approach. So some people may use iron sheets, some people may use, um, maybe grass, depending. So there are different methodologies that, and techniques that we can use to come up with a system. Then code and fix model, structure development. Some can use prototyping, which is always a blueprint. Some use a methodology called rapid application development. Then there are some who use object-oriented development. There are some use XP. There are some who use Agile. There are some who use waterfall model. So all those are different what? Different methodologies. But I will give much attention to the ones which are common, and probably I will have to share with you. Yeah, based on the principles of software, structured development is when you modelize and you come up with the top-down composition. Yeah, structured programming, structured design, structured analysis. These are some of the things you need to carry out while working with the structured what? Development. And now this one you see, the picture you see on your screen is the methodology called waterfall model. Now, waterfall model, as you hear the name waterfall model, like it comes from up to bottom. It is up to bottom approach. The way you see water flowing from up, flowing down. Water does not go up, but instead it flows, you get, yeah, from up going down. So in that sense, that means the step you finish, you cannot go to make changes, meaning that to use such a process or a methodology, you need to be very sure that each and every step or requirements are well known, whereby you won't revisit to make changes again. So for them, according to waterfall model, you have to first identify, that is step number one. In using this methodology to come up with a software project, you need to use what we call, you come up with project identification and selection. Number two is project initiation and planning. Then you go to analysis, the logical design, the physical design, implementation, and maintenance. Now, the other ones we have been discussing, where we have planning, designing, implementation, then you talk of support or maintenance. Those are the generic ones. Then methodologies fetch from the generic ones to come up with their own, you get. Yeah. The way how you see that, maybe like in constructing a house, like there has to be a foundation. Yeah, so some people may use the foundation in terms of columns, some people may use it in terms of slabs and so on. So now, even here, when we are managing projects, according to waterfall model, those are the stages that you need to go through. It has problems that you will have to talk through dependent on documents, particularly in completing the requirements and design phases, and so on. Then advanced design structured development been used successfully for quite a number of years, and it provides a clear framework that defines and divides other activities. Yeah, meaning that work becomes easier to manage and be applied to both small and large projects. Division of labor is easier to facilitate. Yeah. Yeah, it also has the limitations that you will go through. Then prototyping is another methodology which most of you use in your final year project. The user can tell you better what they don't want than what they do want. You get, yeah, in most cases, they focus much on what is not actually positive, but rather on what is always negative. You get, so expendable, throw away. Prototyping is a blueprint of the final product. You get, it's like now coming up with a structure of an aeroplane using the bicycle wires. Yeah, so it is how the final product will look like, but it's not the actual one. That is why in most cases it is discarded afterward, after use. Yeah, and then it is used to support the analysis and the design phases. Evolutionary prototyping goes into the final system and the advantages. It is a little bit faster, easier for end users to learn. They can easily work with it, see changes discovered earlier. Yeah, in case maybe the chairs in that, for example, in case it is an aeroplane made out of what? Bicycle wires, you can easily tell maybe the pilot is not well placed, the pilot seat is not well placed, then also maybe these chairs are not comfortable enough, maybe we can use something different. So you realize that changes are discovered earlier. Then end user involvement is the so common, yeah, which increases their satisfaction, because every time you come up with something, you go, you show to them, they feel they own the what? The system, then increases user acceptance. Yeah, meaning the chances are high that by the time you come up with the final product, since they have been involved throughout the process, they will obviously accept to use the what? The system. Then there is also user analysis, communication, area problem detection. In case there is a problem, you can easily, detect it earlier, and then it saves you from making a big loss. Yeah, because once you detect the problem in early stages, you can easily come up with a solution before it is too late. But the more it is too late, the gravity of the loss becomes big. For example, it's like like when a mother is giving birth, and if this mother has been going through different gyna tests and maybe follow-ups, they get to know the life of the baby in the womb, the activeness, and whereby in case they realize that maybe this baby it is probably tired, whereby may not be able to come out, they can easily, carry another alternative, which may be C-section or something. I'm not so sure. But then when it comes to, like, in case they don't make a follow-up and things just happen at the last hour, they will maybe force the expecting mother to push when the person is trying to push the other tired creature inside. So at the end of the day, you may end up losing either both or losing one over there, because there has not been early problem detection. You get, so the loss becomes a little bit big, reduced maintenance. Yeah, because there is also, once you use prototyping, you realize that the money or the costs that you're going to spend on maintaining is less, because at least you have been working with it, you know what to add, what to remove, and so on. So things move. Yeah. And these are some of the drawbacks of waterfall mode, of prototyping that you have to go through. which is logistical approach to system design, whereby it combines the integrated computer-aided system integrations. Now, when we use information engineering methodologies, we are basically working out what we call the rapid application development methodology, and one of the most advantages why people prefer using this kind of methodology is because it is very fast. Yeah, so it speeds up the system development. Yeah, that is where even its name was generated from, rapid application development. You get, yeah, it speeds up system development by as much as 20 times than the rest. You get. Critics consider it incomplete life cycle because of the rate it goes through. You get, yeah. Then object-oriented development is another one that you can read and understand, plus it's what? It's the advantages and disadvantages. So, project initiation and planning, long-term information system strategy planning, use top-down. Then department managers or process managers normally use bottom-up. They get requirements from the what? From the users of the system. Yeah. Then when you talk of top-down, they use existing systems. You get, yeah, to determine the requirements of the proposed system. Yeah. For example, if you are to develop maybe a learning management system, meaning you're going to benchmark from Moodle, Sakai, Canvas, Edmodo, which are already existing. Yeah, that is top down. But then there are some people who may come up with a learning management system whereby they get the requirements from the owners or stakeholders of the system, whereby they base on that to come up with the system. Response to outside forces, legislative changes, market forces, competition. Yeah, when we are doing project initiation and planning, we need to respond or to comply with what the law says, that is legislative what changes. You don't come up with a system that violates, like now, of course, in our culture as a country, pornography is not done what? Is not allowed to be shared. So meaning that if the system you're intending to come up with has that kind of content, then it is not most likely to do what? To be a success one. Then market forces, what do people want? What is trending, it is what we always what come up with. Then we also have what we call competition. What is in the what other people have, you get, yeah, because yes, we're going to come up with a learning management system, but then you need to know which institutions already use this, and then what do they have, what do learners want always. Like competition is very important when we are coming up with project initiation and planning. Confirming project feasibility. Now, feasibility, like I told you, feasibility we are looking at is something achievable. We have quite a number of feasibility types. Economic feasibility, do you have the money you get that you need to probably maybe use in your project? Then organizational and culture is what you're going to come up with acceptable in culture and organization. Then technologically, do you have the software that you need to come up with this kind of software or the requirements? Or do you have the technology, you have the hardware required? Then schedule, like is the time you have enough to come up with this kind of software or project? Then the resources, you have the people, like technical, like you have the technical people who are going to help you come up with this. You have, probably when you talk of resources, we are not talking about only money, but we talk about even the people themselves you get who are going to be behind this. Then intangible, then economic feasibility, costly, for example, increase level service, survival, risk customers, or all those ones. These ones I've already explained. Economic feasibility, schedule feasibility, resource feasibility, you will go through. I'm going to upload this onto your dashboards or model, then you'll be able to go through projects. Okay. Staffing, the operations plan, project, I've already talked about that. So I believe when the project oversight committee is finalized and meets to give the ahead, formal announcements can be made, focusing the investigations, most problems occur in complex tasks that have high user input. Then the requirements analysis after determine sim requirements, structural requirements, modeling, logical goals, fully describe the current system in case it exists, whereby you study and analyze the current system, gather and study facts, determine the idea information system, study and analyze current system. Yeah, some things you need to do up to go through. They are easy to understand it. In case you don't get something, you can always share any inquiry, any question at any moment. Learn about current system. You have to gather facts from the current information systems. You can Google, that is external sources. You can also inquire from the people themselves who are, those are internal sources. That is, you can make sure you have to make sure that you listen, then don't resolve problems, but keep listening to whatever they say, so it will help you to come up with something better. Fact finding methodology, observation, those are different techniques you have to use when you're collecting data from the users, questionnaires, questionnaire development. Those are the advantages and the disadvantages of questionnaire. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to use all of these techniques when you're collecting data from the users, but you need to pick out the one that you think is ideal. Interview is another technique that you can use while coming up with what requirements, how to control and conduct interviews, tips, more interview tips. You can go through the advantages and disadvantages, and sample questions that So basically, that is what I wanted to share with you. And in case of any question, you can always post via our model, and then I'll be able to address. Otherwise, thank you very much. I wish you a better session. Bye-bye.